Women are masters of subtle psychological games, and most men fall for them without even realizing it. But here's the truth, only 1% of men know how to truly beat women at their own game, and it's not about manipulation or playing dirty. It's about understanding female psychology and using it to level the playing field. In this episode, we'll uncover the tactics women use and how you can outsmart them without sacrificing your self-respect. Stick around, because each chapter will reveal secrets most men never figure out. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your own stories in the comments below. We want to hear how you faced these challenges. Chapter 1. The Look at Me Game. Women often have a remarkable ability to command attention with subtle, calculated actions. These seemingly effortless behaviors, flipping their hair, adjusting their clothes, or holding your gaze for just a moment longer than usual, are designed to spark curiosity. While they may appear casual or unintentional, these gestures are deliberate signals meant to intrigue you and encourage you to take the first step. This gives them a level of control over the interaction, allowing them to dictate the pace and dynamics while appearing passive. The effectiveness of this tactic lies in its subtlety. It plays on the natural tendency for people to be drawn to mystery and the unknown. When a woman employs these techniques, it creates a magnetic pull that makes you feel like it's your choice to approach her, even though she has subtly orchestrated the scenario. This method allows her to maintain an air of confidence and composure while you're left wondering about her intentions. To successfully navigate this dynamic, you must master the art of showing controlled interest. Instead of falling into the trap of staring, gawking, or immediately approaching her, take a more composed approach. Offer a brief, confident glance that acknowledges her effort, then deliberately shift your focus elsewhere. This small but impactful action sends a powerful message. It signals that you're confident, self-assured, and not easily swayed by surface-level gestures. By resisting the urge to react predictably, you position yourself as a man of value and mystery, which naturally draws her interest. Women are instinctively drawn to men who exude independence and don't conform to predictable patterns. When you maintain composure and resist the urge to chase, you create a dynamic where she begins to question your level of interest. This uncertainty can be incredibly appealing, as it sets you apart from others who might immediately fall into her carefully constructed trap. The principles of Stoicism align perfectly with this approach. The Stoics emphasized the importance of controlling one's impulses and reactions, maintaining emotional balance even in challenging situations. Applying this mindset to the look at me game means refusing to let her subtle tactics dictate your behavior. Instead, you remain composed and in control, creating an impression of strength and self-mastery. If a woman is genuinely interested in you, she will take additional steps to capture your attention when you don't immediately react. By holding back just enough, you shift the power dynamic in your favor, challenging her to invest more effort into the interaction. This not only equalizes the dynamic, but also allows for a deeper, more authentic connection to emerge. The key to success lies in striking the right balance. This isn't about ignoring her entirely or appearing disinterested, it's about demonstrating self-respect and emotional discipline. By showing that you're intrigued, but not desperate, you create a compelling dynamic that draws her closer. Confidence, restraint, and a touch of mystery are powerful tools that can transform a fleeting moment of interest into a meaningful exchange. Ultimately, by mastering the look at me game, you shift the focus from reactive behavior to intentional action. This approach not only elevates your appeal, but also fosters an environment of mutual respect and intrigue. When you remain composed, in control, and true to yourself, you set the stage for interactions that are grounded in genuine connection rather than surface-level gains. This creates a more rewarding and balanced dynamic for both of you. Chapter 2. The Chase Me Game. Women often act disinterested, fully aware that men are naturally inclined to chase what appears unattainable. This tactic taps into a deeply ingrained competitive instinct that many men possess, making you feel compelled to prove your worth and win her over. It's not just a simple act of playing hard to get, it's a deliberate and well-calculated strategy that subtly shifts the power dynamic in her favor, leaving you wanting more and often questioning how to regain control. To counter this, it's crucial to avoid over-investing in the dynamic or reacting emotionally. Instead of trying harder when she pulls back, match her energy and maintain your composure. If she takes a step back, resist the urge to chase after her. This doesn't mean ignoring her completely or acting aloof, but rather focusing on maintaining your own balance and self-respect. Healthy relationships thrive on mutual effort and reciprocity, so your goal should be to ensure the interaction feels balanced rather than one-sided. When you refrain from throwing yourself into a one-sided pursuit, you send a powerful and unmistakable message: you value yourself and won't engage in emotional games. This type of confidence is incredibly attractive because it demonstrates that you are secure in yourself and not dependent on anyone else's validation. You're showing her that, while you may be interested, you refuse to grovel or beg for her attention. Instead, you subtly communicate that your attention is valuable and cannot be taken for granted or easily manipulated. Psychologically, this strategy is about setting boundaries and fostering mutual respect. It's not about being arrogant, dismissive, or playing games in return. It's about finding the balance between showing interest and maintaining your independence. Confidence is the cornerstone of this approach. When you hold your ground and refuse to engage with manipulative behaviors, you project strength, emotional stability, and maturity. These are qualities that women respect and are naturally drawn to, as they signify a man who knows his worth. Interestingly, this approach often has the opposite effect of what you might expect. Instead of pushing her away, your composure can make her more intrigued and invested in pursuing you. By not chasing harder or allowing yourself to be caught up in her game, you become the challenge she wants to overcome. This subtle shift in dynamics flips the script, creating a situation where she begins to value your attention more deeply. It not only levels the playing field, but also makes the interaction feel more genuine and rewarding for both of you. This strategy isn't just about winning her over, but about establishing a relationship dynamic that's built on mutual effort, respect, and genuine connection. When you respect yourself and maintain healthy boundaries, you not only attract her attention, but also set the stage for a stronger, more meaningful bond. Confidence, self-respect, and a refusal to engage in superficial games are the keys to navigating the chase me dynamic effectively. Ultimately, the power lies in your ability to stay grounded and unwavering in your sense of self. By not falling into the trap of over-pursuing, you demonstrate that you are not ruled by fleeting emotions or manipulative tactics. This approach not only enhances your appeal, but also ensures that any relationship you form is based on authenticity and shared values. Women are drawn to men who know their worth and demand the same respect in return, making this strategy one that benefits both sides in the long run. Chapter 3: The Invest in Me Game. The to invest in me game is a subtle yet powerful dynamic where some women expect men to heavily invest in dates, gifts, or emotional energy while offering minimal effort in return. This game often positions the man as the pursuer, consistently proving his value through material or emotional means. While this can seem like a natural part of courtship, it can also lead to an imbalanced relationship dynamic if not recognized and addressed early on. At its core, this game hinges on the idea that men should provide and impress while women evaluate and decide. It may manifest in the expectation that you always pay for expensive dinners, plan elaborate dates, or shower her with compliments and attention, all without her reciprocating the same level of effort. Over time, this dynamic can leave you feeling drained and unappreciated as the relationship becomes one-sided. To navigate this game effectively, focus on establishing balance from the outset. Look for signs of mutual interest and effort. For instance, when planning a date, suggest activities that require equal participation. A hike, a cooking class, or even a casual coffee date puts both of you on equal footing, allowing you to gauge her willingness to engage without placing all the responsibility on your shoulders. If she consistently expects you to plan and pay for extravagant outings, it's a red flag that she might not value reciprocity. Reciprocity is the cornerstone of a healthy relationship. While grand gestures and thoughtful surprises can be wonderful, they should be met with appreciation and, ideally, equivalent effort on her part. Pay attention to whether she shows gratitude or takes your efforts for granted. Does she offer to contribute, plan the next outing, or surprise you in her own way? These actions demonstrate that she values you as much as you value her. Setting boundaries early is key to avoiding the pitfalls of the "invest in me" game. This doesn't mean being stingy or withholding, it means being clear about your expectations for mutual effort. For example, if she suggests an expensive restaurant for a first date, it's reasonable to counter with a more moderate option or propose splitting the bill. This isn't about money, it's about ensuring that the dynamic feels fair and balanced from the start. The Stoics believed in valuing one's own time and resources, and this principle applies perfectly here. Your time, energy, and resources are finite, and investing them wisely is a sign of self-respect. Women notice men who are confident enough to set boundaries and assert their worth. By demonstrating that you won't be taken advantage of, you project strength and self-assurance, qualities that naturally attract genuine, high-value partners. Navigating the "invest in me" game also requires emotional intelligence. Not all expectations for investment are manipulative. Sometimes, they stem from societal norms or personal preferences. The key is to differentiate between genuine interest and entitlement. A woman who truly values you will appreciate your efforts while also finding ways to contribute to the relationship. She might offer to cook dinner, surprise you with a small gift, or simply express her gratitude in meaningful ways. It's also important to communicate openly about expectations. If you feel the dynamic becoming imbalanced, address it calmly and directly. For instance, you could say, "I really enjoy spending time with you, and I want to make sure we are both putting in equal effort to make this work." This approach shows maturity and a willingness to build a partnership based on mutual respect. Another tactic to counter this game is to observe her behavior when you don't immediately meet her expectations. For example, if she hints at wanting an expensive gift or an extravagant date and you suggest something more modest, how does she react? If she becomes distant or disinterested, it might indicate that her interest is tied more to what you can provide than who you are. On the other hand, if she responds positively and adapts to the situation, it's a sign that she values the connection more than material benefits. The psychological aspect of this game is also worth considering. Some women use the "invest in me" game as a way to gauge your interest or commitment. In their minds, your willingness to invest might be seen as a measure of how much you care. While this isn't inherently manipulative, it's important to ensure that these tests don't spiral into a pattern of one-sided effort. By balancing your investment with clear boundaries and mutual expectations, you can navigate this aspect of the game while maintaining your self-respect. Lastly, remember that the right woman won't make you feel like you're constantly proving yourself. A genuine connection is built on mutual admiration and shared effort, not on one person giving endlessly while the other takes. When you set the tone for a balanced relationship, you not only protect yourself from being taken advantage of but also attract partners who value and respect you for who you are, not for what you can provide. The "invest in me" game ultimately tests your ability to value your own time and resources. By recognizing the signs, setting boundaries, and seeking balance, you can navigate this dynamic with confidence. Women respect men who stand firm in their worth and approach relationships as equal partnerships. This mindset not only helps you beat the game, but also ensures that you attract and maintain relationships that are truly fulfilling. Chapter 4: The Delayed Responses Game. The delayed responses game is a subtle but effective strategy some women use to gain an edge in the dynamics of communication. By intentionally delaying replies to texts or calls, they create a sense of unpredictability, keeping you guessing and subtly asserting control. This tactic is designed to shift the balance of power, making you more invested in the interaction while they maintain an air of mystery and independence. From a psychological standpoint, this approach taps into your natural desire for closure and connection. When a message is left unanswered for an extended period, your mind starts to fill in the blanks. Did she see the message? Is she not interested? Should you send another text to follow up? This uncertainty can create a sense of urgency and even anxiety, leading you to overthink or double text, a reaction that only reinforces the power dynamic she's trying to establish. However, recognizing the mechanics of this game gives you the tools to neutralize its effects. The first rule is to avoid overreacting. Emotional detachment is your greatest ally here. If she takes hours to reply, resist the urge to match her energy with frustration or eagerness. Instead, mirror her pace, or, better yet, take slightly longer to respond. This signals that you're equally busy and not hanging on her every word. It also communicates self-assurance and independence, qualities that women find inherently attractive. Keeping your replies concise and to the point is another powerful way to navigate this game. Long-winded responses can come across as overinvestment, while short, clear replies demonstrate that you're composed and not overly affected by her timing. For instance, if she responds to your message after several hours with a casual remark, resist the temptation to ask why it took her so long or to overcompensate with enthusiasm. Instead, reply with something light and effortless, such as, "Glad to hear back. Hope your day's going well." The Stoics often emphasized the importance of controlling one's emotions and reactions, a principle that's particularly useful in this context. By refusing to let delayed replies dictate your mood or behavior, you reclaim your power in the interaction. View her delayed response not as a personal affront, but as a neutral event that doesn't warrant an emotional reaction. This mindset allows you to stay grounded, preserving your sense of balance and composure. It's also essential to have a fulfilling life outside of your interactions with her. When you're genuinely busy and engaged with your own pursuits, her delayed responses lose their power to disrupt your focus. Whether it's work, hobbies, fitness, or social connections, investing in yourself creates a natural buffer against the emotional turbulence that can arise from this dynamic. A man who is engrossed in his own life is not easily rattled by a text left unanswered. However, it's important to differentiate between intentional delay and genuine unavailability. Life happens, work meetings, family obligations, or simply forgetting to reply are all legitimate reasons for a delayed response. If her pattern of communication shows genuine engagement when she does respond, there's no need to assume that every delay is part of a calculated game. On the other hand, if her responses consistently feel distant, vague, or disinterested, it might be time to reassess whether she's genuinely interested in the connection. One subtle but effective strategy is to manage the timing of your own messages. Instead of replying instantly every time she texts, take a moment to compose your thoughts and respond when it's convenient for you. This doesn't mean playing games or being disingenuous. It's about maintaining a sense of equilibrium in the flow of communication. For instance, if you're in the middle of a task when her message comes through, finish what you're doing before replying. This shows that your priorities are intact and that you value your time. Another useful tactic is to occasionally delay initiating conversations. If you're always the one starting the exchange, it can create an unbalanced dynamic where she feels less incentive to engage actively. By stepping back and allowing her to take the lead sometimes, you shift the balance and create a sense of mutual effort in the interaction. Patience is the cornerstone of navigating the delayed responses game. When you respond calmly and confidently, you convey that her timing doesn't control you. This emotional steadiness is not only disarming, but also highly attractive. Women respect men who remain unshaken by minor provocations, as it signals emotional maturity and self-assurance. If the pattern of delayed replies persists and begins to feel manipulative or disrespectful, don't hesitate to address it directly. A simple, honest conversation can clarify intentions and set the tone for better communication. For example, you could say, "I've noticed our conversations tend to have long pauses, and I want to make sure we're on the same page about staying in touch. Let me know what works best for you." This approach is non-confrontational yet assertive, ensuring your boundaries are respected. Ultimately, the delayed responses game is a test of your emotional resilience and self-worth. By staying composed, prioritizing your own life, and setting clear expectations for communication, you turn the tables on this subtle power play. Rather than succumbing to the anxiety of delayed replies, you assert yourself as a man who values mutual respect and balance in all interactions. This not only neutralizes the game, but also positions you as someone worth investing in, a man who commands respect without demanding it. Chapter 5: The Waiting Game. The waiting game is a subtle but impactful strategy some women use to establish control in a social or romantic interaction. By intentionally arriving late to a date or meeting, they create a dynamic where you're left waiting. This act shifts the balance of power subtly, as your time is put on hold while they hold the reins of the situation. While this might seem minor, it's often a deliberate test of your patience, value, and boundaries. In psychological terms, making someone wait can signal that their time is less valuable than the one causing the delay. For women employing this tactic, it's not just about tardiness, it's a way to gauge how much you're willing to tolerate and how much importance you place on their presence. If you're overly accommodating, waiting endlessly without expressing dissatisfaction, it might unintentionally communicate a lack of self-respect or a willingness to be taken for granted. To effectively navigate the waiting game, the first step is to establish clear expectations for punctuality. Respect for each other's time is a fundamental aspect of any healthy relationship. When making plans, communicate your preferences clearly. For instance, you can say, "I really value being on time. It's a sign of respect for both of us." This sets a standard without sounding confrontational. If she's late without a valid reason or a sincere apology, it's crucial to set boundaries. While it's reasonable to wait for a short period, leaving after a certain point sends a powerful message: you respect yourself and your time. For example, if she's more than 15 to 20 minutes late without an explanation, leaving the venue calmly and politely lets her know that your time isn't something to be taken lightly. This doesn't need to be dramatic or accusatory. Simply text her, "Hey, I had to leave since I wasn't sure what happened. Let's catch up another time." While this might feel uncomfortable, it establishes an important precedent. Women respect men who respect themselves. Standing your ground in this way shows that you have boundaries and won't tolerate disrespectful behavior, even in subtle forms. Interestingly, this often garners more respect than endless patience because it signals confidence and self-worth. At the same time, it's essential to balance self-respect with understanding. Life happens, traffic, unexpected delays, or genuine miscommunication can lead to tardiness. If she provides a valid reason or apologizes sincerely, it's worth giving her the benefit of the doubt. In these cases, patience becomes a demonstration of your emotional maturity. However, if lateness becomes a recurring issue without proper acknowledgement or effort to improve, it's a sign that her behavior reflects a lack of consideration rather than isolated incidents. The Stoics believed in the power of self-control and maintaining one's composure in all situations, and this philosophy is highly applicable here. Instead of reacting emotionally to being made to wait, approach the situation with calmness and clarity. For example, if she arrives late and offers no apology, address it directly but respectfully. "I was surprised you were late without letting me know. I value my time, and I hope we can both respect that moving forward." This conveys your feelings without unnecessary drama, maintaining the tone of a mature and grounded individual. It's also worth considering how you react emotionally while waiting. Sitting there, growing increasingly frustrated or anxious, only amplifies the power dynamic she might be testing. Instead, use the waiting time to your advantage. Read something, catch up on messages, or even reassess the interaction itself. This subtle shift in mindset can turn an otherwise frustrating experience into an opportunity for self-reflection and growth. From a broader perspective, the waiting game speaks to a larger theme in relationships: the importance of balance and reciprocity. While it's natural to make compromises and accommodate each other, one-sided efforts rarely lead to healthy, fulfilling dynamics. If you find yourself consistently adjusting your behavior, expectations, or schedule to accommodate someone who doesn't reciprocate the same effort, it's time to reevaluate the relationship. Standing firm in your expectations doesn't just apply to the waiting game, it sets the tone for the entire relationship. When you communicate that your time, energy, and presence are valuable, you create a foundation of mutual respect. This isn't about being inflexible or overly strict, it's about ensuring that the effort you invest is met with equal consideration. Finally, it's important to recognize that some women may not even be consciously playing a game when they're late. Cultural norms, personality traits, or simple oversight can all contribute to tardiness. However, whether intentional or not, the way you respond sets the tone for how you'll be treated moving forward. To summarize, the waiting game is less about punctuality itself and more about the underlying dynamics of respect, boundaries, and self-worth. By setting clear expectations, addressing lateness calmly but firmly, and knowing when to walk away, you communicate that your time is valuable and that you're a man who respects himself enough to expect the same in return. This blend of patience, confidence, and assertiveness is a powerful way to navigate this subtle test while reinforcing your own emotional strength. Chapter 6: The "I'm not that type of girl" game. The "I'm not that type of girl" game is a common dynamic in the world of dating. It involves a woman presenting herself as reserved, innocent, or above certain behaviors, often as a way to control how she's perceived or to test your intentions. While this isn't inherently manipulative, it can serve as a psychological tool to create a sense of intrigue, delay intimacy, or establish emotional leverage. Navigating this scenario effectively requires patience, emotional intelligence, and a clear understanding of boundaries, both hers and yours. At its core, this behavior often stems from societal pressures or personal insecurities. Many women feel the need to project an image of propriety to avoid being judged, especially early in a relationship. This approach may also be a way to protect themselves from emotional vulnerability. It's important to approach this dynamic with empathy, recognizing that her reluctance may be rooted in fear of being misunderstood or mistreated. However, it's equally important to recognize when this narrative goes beyond self-protection and veers into manipulation. Some women may use the "I'm not that type of girl" game to keep you guessing or to establish control over the pace and direction of the relationship. For example, she might emphasize her boundaries verbally while subtly encouraging actions that contradict her statements. This can create a push and pull dynamic that keeps you engaged but uncertain about where you stand. To navigate this game effectively, the first step is patience. Rushing or pressuring her to move past her stated boundaries will only reinforce her defenses and damage trust. Instead, focus on creating a safe and non-judgmental environment. Let her know, through your words and actions, that you respect her pace and aren't in the relationship solely for physical or superficial reasons. For example, if she expresses hesitancy about certain behaviors or milestones, respond with understanding, "I appreciate you being honest with me." I'm here for the connection, not just to meet some expectation. While patience is key, it's equally important to maintain a sense of awareness. Actions often speak louder than words, and discrepancies between what she says and does can provide valuable insight into her true intentions. For instance, if she repeatedly emphasizes her conservative values but simultaneously engages in flirtatious behavior or situations that suggest otherwise, it's worth reflecting on whether she's being entirely genuine. This doesn't mean accusing her of deceit, it's about staying mindful of the dynamic and protecting your emotional investment. The Stoics believed in mastering one's emotions and staying grounded in reality, and this philosophy applies perfectly here. Rather than getting caught up in the guessing game, focus on what's within your control, your actions, boundaries, and reactions. If her behavior feels inconsistent or confusing, calmly address it without hostility. For example, you might say, "I value honesty and clear communication, and I'd like us to be on the same page about where we're heading." This approach signals that you respect her boundaries while also asserting your own need for clarity. Maintaining your own boundaries is just as important as respecting hers. While it's commendable to be patient and understanding, you shouldn't have to compromise your needs or values to accommodate someone else's insecurities. If her reluctance to progress in the relationship starts to feel like a game or a form of control, it's worth reassessing whether the dynamic is healthy. Relationships thrive on mutual respect and effort, not on one-sided sacrifices. It's also worth noting that some women may use the "I'm not that type of girl" narrative to test your intentions. They may want to see whether you're genuinely interested in them as a person or simply pursuing a superficial connection. In these cases, demonstrating consistency, authenticity, and emotional depth can go a long way. Engage in meaningful conversations, show interest in her values and experiences, and let your actions align with your words. Over time, this consistency can help break down walls and build trust. On the flip side, be cautious not to fall into the trap of over-investing in someone who continually moves the goalposts. If her boundaries seem to shift unpredictably, or if she uses her narrative to keep you perpetually off balance, it's a sign that the relationship may lack genuine reciprocity. In such cases, walking away isn't a failure, it's an assertion of self-respect and emotional health. Ultimately, the goal in navigating the "I'm not that type of girl" game is to create a relationship dynamic that feels balanced, respectful, and authentic. By demonstrating patience and understanding while staying true to your own needs and values, you can foster an atmosphere of mutual trust and openness. Women are more likely to let their guard down when they sense that you're genuine and emotionally grounded. The Stoics taught that true strength lies in self-mastery and the ability to remain steadfast in the face of uncertainty. By applying these principles, you can navigate the complexities of dating with grace and confidence. Whether the "I'm not that type of girl" narrative is rooted in genuine self-protection or subtle manipulation, your ability to stay centered and uphold your boundaries will ultimately determine the success and authenticity of the connection. Chapter 7. The Proof Yourself Game. In the intricate dance of dating and relationships, some women may employ what's commonly known as the "proof yourself" game. This tactic involves creating situations where a man feels compelled to constantly prove his worth, whether through continuous validation, grand gestures, or relentless pursuit of her approval. While such behavior may stem from insecurities or a desire to test a partner's dedication, it can leave you emotionally drained and undervalued if you fall too deeply into this dynamic. The "proof yourself" game often begins subtly. She may frequently question your intentions or downplay your efforts, hinting that you need to do more to earn her respect or affection. While occasional testing is normal in early relationship stages, a pattern of this behavior creates an unbalanced dynamic. You risk becoming overly accommodating, prioritizing her needs at the expense of your own well-being, and losing sight of the mutuality essential to a healthy relationship. To counter this, the first and most crucial step is recognizing the signs. Are you constantly trying to meet her expectations while receiving little acknowledgement or effort in return? Are her demands escalating, no matter how much you give? These are red flags that you're caught in a game of proving yourself. Instead of continuing down this path, shift your focus to cultivating mutual respect. A relationship should feel like a partnership where both individuals contribute equally to its growth and success. One powerful way to break free from this dynamic is by setting clear boundaries. Boundaries are not ultimatums, they are statements of self-respect. For example, if she constantly demands reassurance about your feelings, calmly express that while you're happy to communicate openly, you also need her to trust your words and actions without constant reiteration. If she expects elaborate gestures to prove your commitment, explain that meaningful connections are built on consistent, mutual effort, not grand displays. The Stoics provide timeless wisdom here, emphasizing the value of self-mastery and inner strength. They believe that true power lies in controlling your reactions and staying grounded, even in the face of external challenges. In the context of the proof yourself game, this means resisting the urge to overextend yourself for approval. Instead, remain calm and composed, demonstrating through your actions and demeanor that your worth isn't up for debate. An important part of mastering this dynamic is maintaining a strong sense of self-worth. When you're confident in your value, you won't feel the need to continually seek validation from others. This self-assuredness is incredibly attractive and often shifts the balance of power in your favor. Women tend to respect men who exude quiet confidence and stand firm in their beliefs. When you refuse to engage in endless efforts to prove yourself, you're sending a clear message: you are secure in who you are and won't compromise your dignity for anyone's approval. That said, navigating this game doesn't mean withholding effort or affection entirely. Relationships thrive on mutual investment, and showing care and commitment is essential. However, the key difference lies in reciprocity. If you notice that your gestures are met with indifference or that she continuously raises the bar without contributing equally, it's time to reassess the dynamic. A fulfilling relationship involves both partners giving and receiving, creating a balanced flow of energy and appreciation. It's also vital to approach this situation with empathy and understanding. Sometimes, a woman's tendency to test or demand proof of your worth stems from past experiences or insecurities. By addressing her concerns directly and with compassion, you may be able to break down walls and foster deeper trust. However, this should never come at the cost of compromising your values or overextending yourself. Lastly, remember that you always have the power to walk away from a dynamic that feels one-sided or emotionally taxing. Choosing to prioritize your well-being isn't a sign of failure, it's a testament to your strength and self-respect. The Stoics taught that external approval is fleeting, but true contentment comes from within. By embracing this philosophy, you'll find that the right relationships naturally align with your values, without the need for constant proving or validation. Ultimately, that proof yourself game is less about outsmarting someone else and more about mastering yourself. When you stay grounded, set boundaries, and maintain confidence in your worth, you create a dynamic where genuine connection can flourish. Women respect and admire men who refuse to compromise their integrity, creating relationships that are equal, fulfilling, and built to last. Mastering these dynamics isn't about manipulation, it's about understanding and responding to female psychology with confidence and respect. By recognizing these games and staying grounded, you can maintain control of your interactions and build stronger, more authentic connections. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your own experiences in the comments. Your story might just inspire the next viewer to take charge of their interactions, too.